Hi, I am Narendra Modigari. In this session, I am going to introduce you a platform called as code.org. So this is a platform where even kids can learn how to write programs and they can even develop applications. So from where all started. In 2013, Hadi and Ali, a twin brothers, they released a video promoting computer science education. And within one day, the video was in top trending list in YouTube. And after that, they received orders from 1,500 schools across the US to help their students to learn programming. Immediately, they started this code.org with a set of volunteers as their workforce. Later, with the help of people like Microsoft, Infosys, Facebook, Amazon, they created a complete full-fledged workforce organization. Now, more than 15% of the students across the world using this code.org platform. In this digital generation, and this computer science is the fundamental and foundational one for every discipline. Every 21st century child should have a chance to learn about algorithms and how to make app or how internet works. Just like how they learn mathematics in the schools, they should know how to develop application and they should know how actually the internet is working. So the value of computer science has grown rapidly. As of now, the lifetime earning of a high school graduate is around $0.58 million, whereas it is 1.19 for college graduates. But for the people who work in computer science as their major, and they are earning around $1.67 million as of now. So a computer science major can earn 40% more than anyone else. Now today, more than 15% of all the students in the world have accounts in code.org, and more than 1 million teachers is having account, and they are helping their students learn through code.org website. And more than 32 countries have changed or planned policies to support computer science. So code.org is also providing hours of code. They are trying to motivate the people to learn computer science and write programs and develop applications. Hours of code tutorials available across 45 languages. To develop applications in code.org, they are providing set of tools like Web Lab, Game Lab, App Lab, Dance Lab, Sprite Lab. They are providing number of tools, and you can choose the required tool as per your convenience. For example, if a student would like to make web pages using HTML and CSS, you can make use of Web Lab tool. And a student can create simple web pages and he can share those web pages in a matter of seconds. If a student wants to develop games, and you can use a tool called as Game Lab tool. If a student wants to make simple animations and games with objects interacting with each other, you can make use of Game Lab to work with programming environment where you can design a number of apps. So you can make use of App Lab. So by using App Lab, you can design simple apps, write code using either blocks or JavaScript, and you can share your apps to anyone else in the world. So apart from this Web Lab, Game Lab, and App Lab, platform is also providing some other tools like the Sprite Lab, Dance Lab, and all. So this is the code.org website, today.code.org, where you can start developing your projects. You should have an account. It's very simple. You can even log in with a Gmail. So once you create an account for yourself, and you can choose what type of application you are going to develop. Whether you're going to develop a Sprite Lab application, whether it is an App Lab or Game Lab or Dance Party. So it depends on type of application you are going to develop. You can choose any one of these. For example, if you would like to develop an application, choose App Lab. So these are the different tools available for developing your projects. If you click this project tab, then you'll get this page where you can see the number of projects. So here it will show you what are the projects you have created so far. So these are some of the applications that I tried so far. If you don't have any idea on what project to develop, then you can click this project ideas for home learning. And it will guide you which project you are supposed to choose it. So there is a library, code.org project library, and where you can find a number of already existing projects, where you can find a good number of projects. So these are the projects under Dance Party tool, and these are some of the games, some of the apps developed using App Lab tool. These are games, events. Okay, so these are some of the projects. If you want, you can open any one project. A project will be open, and you can select games. You can play games, and if you want to check your code, you can check it here. You can play the games, you can check how it works, and as well as you can access the code. So this is the code for a Pokemon adventure game. You can make use of this code. You can modify this code, and you can develop your own projects. If you want to access this code as a text, just click this show text button. This is the code. So what you can do is you can make use of this code and when you're developing your own projects. And you can play it, and if you want to know how it works, click how it works. It will show you the actual code required for developing respective projects. So this is the code. This is a code using blocks, and if you want to access the code using code as a text, just click this button. So this is the code. So you can make use of this code to develop your own applications. So these are some of the existing projects, so you can open it and you can have an idea on how to develop your own projects. If you are ready to develop projects, but if you don't have an idea what to develop, you can select project ideas from this page, like a digital book report, choose your own adventure, journal or blog. These are the project proposals. If you want, you can make use of this and you can develop your own applications. You will be having project ideas for each category. So these are the project ideas for web lab, these are the project ideas for game lab, these are the project ideas for app lab. Okay, you can make use of this. Once you're done with your project, you can share your project with your faculty or you can share with your friends. Now what we're going to do is we are going to develop a simple application in app lab. If you want to develop an application using any tool, just click this create button, choose the type of application you are going to develop. Now I would like to develop an app lab application. Just click it. The title is Untitled Project, so you can rename this. You can give your own name. So it's my first project. And you can design your project, you can develop your projects. So this is a screen where you can keep your elements, where you can keep your objects, like images, buttons, checkboxes, text boxes, so whatever you want. Whatever the objects you have to place, you can place inside the screen. In a single application, you can create any number of screens. Okay, you can create any number of screens. I would like to create an application for a simple calculator which has 4 buttons: addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. So I am going to design a calculator with only 4 operators: addition, multiplication, division and subtraction. Let me design first user interface. Just choose the design part. Different kinds of components are there. You can choose whatever the component you want. Like button, text input, labels, drop down list, radio button, checkboxes, and images, canvas, screens, text area, charts, sliders, photo select. You can choose whatever the component you would like to have. Now I am going to design a simple calculator which takes 2 inputs and perform either addition, multiplication, division or subtraction. I need 2 inputs for performing arithmetic operations. Let's take 2 inputs. So click text input and drag it, and if you want you can resize it. Okay, if you want you can resize this as much as you want. Just click this and you can resize however you want. So this is for reading one input. Label it as input 1. So click the label and drop here. Label it as input 1. You can place it wherever you want. You can resize it using mouse. You can make use of these properties like width, height, X position, Y position to adjust your component. Or you can decrease width, you can increase height with height property, or you can decrease height with height property, or you can resize it using your mouse itself. This is for input 1, and I need one more input for performing arithmetic operations. Drag it and drop it. Resize it as much as you want. So I have 2 inputs. Label them as input 1 and input 2. So let me add text for them. Label them as input 1 and input 2. Just click this component and give the name whatever you want. This is for input 1. I need one more label for second input. Click the component and give the text whatever you want. So this is the label for input 2. This is input 1, this is input 2 labels. So you can increase height and width as well as its position. If you want, you can choose even colors, text colors. Just click this and choose the text colors. Choose whatever the color you want, you can choose it. So you can give your own colors. For this one also, you can choose background colors. You can give colors for the input, as well as you can change the background color if you want. And you can select your own font size, as well as you can select the input size. And this is for alignment, whether the text is aligned on the left side or right side or center, or it's justified. And this is the size of border. So this is thickness of your border. So you can increase or decrease thickness of your border as your convenience. And you can even change the border colors like this. You can even change the border colors. And this is the border radius. You can observe the differences if I keep increasing the border radius. So you can set as much as you want as far as radius is concerned. Okay. So these are some of the properties. And this is the important one. You need to give a proper name for this one. So you have to give an unique identifier in each label. So I have given input 1 for this label. Let me give input 2 for this label. And you should give an unique ID for each and every component. So for this component I have given as input 1 as my label. For this one I have given input 2 as my label. So this for input 1 and this is for input 2. After reading the input, I need to perform arithmetic operations. So I need buttons for addition, multiplication, subtraction, division. So I need 4 more buttons. So this is button 1. So button 2. Let me resize it. This is for plus. This is for minus. And I need 2 more buttons. Let me take 1 more button. So this button is for plus. So let me give identifier as plus and the text as plus symbol. And this is for minus. This is for subtraction. Let me give this as a SUB as identifier. Minus is the button. So for this one, this is for multiplication. Let me give ID as MUL, and this is for multiplication. Sorry. And this is for division. Let me give ID as DIV, and the text is a division operator. So let me change the colors of all these buttons, background colors for all these buttons. Select this button and change color for this one also. And change the colors for each button. These are 4 buttons, plus button, minus button, multiplication, division. So for all these buttons, the identifier is important one. Plus, let me give add as identifier. And for subtraction, the identifier is SUB. For multiplication, identifier is MUL. And for division, identifier is DIV. So each and every component should have their own unique identifiers. So this is for input 1 and this is for input 2. This is for performing addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. So after reading the input, if I press any of these buttons, so the result should be displayed. So I need a label where I can display the result. So drag this label. So this is the place where I would like to display a result. Give ID as result for this one. Increase the font size. Initially make it as empty, or initially make it as 0. So just increase the font size for this one. And for this one also, for input also, just increase the font size. For the two inputs also increase the font size. Okay, so this is my design. So I am done with my design part. So in my design part I have two inputs and one label for producing the output and 4 buttons. Now what you have to do is we have to add little bit coding for this one. So if I click plus button, addition has to perform. If I click this plus button, it has to read data from these two inputs and the result should be displayed. So that means if I click a plus button, something should happen. So that is called as event. When I click plus symbol, something should happen. So I need to add an event for this plus symbol. Click a plus symbol, add events. To add events, just go to the event tab and click insert and show code. So here you can write code for all the events. So this UI control deals with your screen. This data module will deals with the database, storing the data into the database, retrieving the data from the database. This control is for controlling your instructions, whether to execute some set of instructions or not based on the condition, or to repeat some set of instructions again and again. And so this is variable part. You can declare variables and you can assign values here, and you can even ask users to enter the values. So here you can find the some mathematical functions, and here you can define your own functions. Okay, so let me add this. So when I click add button, what needs to be done? That code we have to write. Either you can write code as a JavaScript or you can write code as blocks. So click this show blocks. This is the event handler for add button. So whenever you click add button, so what actions you need to do? So what actions you need to perform, that has to be inside this. That has to be inside this. Okay. So when I click add button, it has to read data from the input 1 as well as input 2. When I click add button, it has to read input from these two and the result should be produced here. Okay. When I click plus button, it has to read input from these two and the result should be produced here. Okay. First let me read input from this input 1 whose ID is input 1. So let me read. Well, let me take a variable x is equal to, okay, the value of x is equal to, you have to read data from this input component. Okay, so you can choose a get text method or a get number method. You can just choose get number and specify from where you would like to read the data. And here you have to choose the identifier of a component from where you would like to read input 1. So let us say input 1. It will read input from a component whose ID is input 1. Okay, and the value will be stored A. In the same way, get another input and read the second number also. This time I would like to read the input from the second component whose ID is input 2. In line number 2, you are reading input from a component whose ID is input 1 and the value will be stored in variable A. And in line number 3, you are reading input from a component whose ID is input 2 and the result will be stored in B. Now we need to set result for this test label whose ID is result. So you can use set text, and I'm going to set text of whose ID is result. What value you are going to set here? As this is for add button, you need to perform addition. So go to math and select plus symbol and drag and drop it here. So you are performing addition of A and B. Set A and B. That's it. This console.log will write information to the console window. You can see it in the bottom. Let's run this for only add button. Let me give some inputs. When I'm giving input, the input is not appearing because of color differences. Let me change the color, text color. Let me make the text color as black. Let's go to the design part. For this input 1, make the text color as black. Make the text color as black. For this one also, make the text color as black. Let's run here. and let's give input, let's say 45 and 35. So when I click this add button, so first let me show you the code also. So when I click the add button, it has to read input from a component whose ID is input 1, and that will be stored in A, and it has to read one more input from a component whose ID is input 2, that value will be stored in B. So the 45 will be stored in A and 35 will be stored in B, and add A and B and set the result. Set this result as the addition of A and B. Let me click this. See, you can see here. Okay, so the 45 is stored in A, 35 is stored in B. So the addition of A and B is assigned to this result. Whatever is there in console.log, that will be displayed here. The same way you can write code for other buttons also. If you want to perform subtraction, again you have to add events for subtraction. Again you have to add event listeners for subtraction. Click this subtraction button and click this events. Click this insert and show code, and now you can write. So this is for addition, and now you have to do the same thing for subtraction also. For subtraction also, you need to read data from these two. For subtraction also, you need to read input from these two text inputs. Let's take two variables. Let's say A and B again. Let's take two variables A and B again. Okay, the value of A is nothing but you have to get this value from text input 1. Get number from, and here you have to choose the ID from where you would like to read the data. So I would like to read the data from this text input whose ID is input 1. Okay, so get another number, create another variable to store the second number. Let's say it as B. Let's say it as B. Value of B, you have to get it from the text input 2. So you have to get it from a component whose ID is input 2. Okay, so the A will be having first input and B will be having second input. So once you know the two inputs, then you can set the result. You can set the result. Okay, you are going to set the result of a component whose identifier is result. Okay, so the value to be set is subtracting B from A. So you need a subtract operator. Go to the math, choose subtract, and insert here. Subtract A from B. That's it. Okay. Read the first number and store it in A. Get the second number and store in B. Perform addition of them and set the text. Let's run this. Let me give first value as 85 and second value as 25. So the plus button will perform addition and the minus button will perform. I have given the wrong identifier, so I have to give the identifier as result. Let's run this again as 45 and 35. If I click plus button, it will give addition of these two numbers. If I click minus button, it performs subtraction. So 45 minus 35 is 10. So far I have written code for two buttons. You can do the same thing for the remaining two buttons. Let's do the same thing for multiplication also. Click the multiplication button, go to design view, click the multiplication button and add events to this multiplication button. So insert and show code. So for this one also you have to do all these three actions. Okay, you have to read two inputs, then you have to perform multiplication. Set text. You have to set the result, and here the result should be the multiplication of A and B. So you need to perform multiplication. So go to math, select multiplication and drag and drop here. So multiply A with B. That's it. So it performs multiplication of A and B. The same thing you can do for the division also. Okay, just click the plus button, go to design mode, click the plus button, click insert and show code, and so this is the block for performing division operation. Here also you need to read two inputs. Set the result, set result as division of A and B. Set result which divides A and B. Go to math, choose division, drag and drop here. A divided by B. That's it. So this is the code for addition, this is the code for subtraction. So this is the code for addition, this is the code for subtraction, this is the code for multiplication, and this is the code for division. You can view this as a JavaScript code. Just click this show text. So this is your JavaScript code. If you want, you can write as a JavaScript code, or if you want, you can write as a set of blocks like this. So we are done writing code for all the four operators: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Let's run this. 10 and 5. If I click this plus button, it performs addition of these two numbers and the result will be here. If I click minus button, then 5 will be subtracted from 10, whose result is 5. If I click multiplication, these two will get multiplied and the result is 15. If I perform division, 10 divided by 5 results in 2. So this is the simple calculator. So you can practice the same thing for all the buttons in your calculator. So this is how you can do it. Once you are done with this one, you can share your project. You can share your project. You can even send this to your phone. This is only for people from US, or you can publish it. So it means you are about to publish your project to the public gallery. So meaning anyone in the world can view your project. If you want to make your project as private one, don't publish it. Otherwise, if you want to make it available for everyone, like, just publish it. Okay, so this is the way how you can do it. So this is all about how to make a simple app using code.org. So this UI control is to interact with the screens, either to get the data from the screen, to put the data onto the screen. So this is for interacting with the database, to store the data into the database, to retrieve data from the database. And this is for decision making statements or iterative statement. Here you can work with the variables. You can declare variables, you can ask the user to enter the variables. So this is all about movements. You can move your turtle with these functions, and this is for performing mathematical operations like basic arithmetic operations, relational operator, logical operators, to generate random numbers, round, absolute, max, minimum, random, powers, which means exponentials, to find the square root. You can make use of any one of these for your mathematical computation. So this is for defining your own modules. This is for defining your own functions apart from this. Thank you. In the next video, we will see how to develop a simple application using web app. So in this video, we will learn how to develop a simple app using App Lab. In the next lecture, we will see how to develop a simple app using web app. Thank you.